Hey everybody, welcome back to Trinity Dairy. Don't forget to like and share the video, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't. You can check out our merch store. We'll have a link in the description for that, and you can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Today is June 13th, 2024. It's a beautiful day. We had some storms come through last night. We didn't really have any damage. I haven't been up to check on the corn to see if there's any more washouts. We got kind of a hard rain, but I don't think it was a lot, so I don't think we're sitting too bad there. I was just over by the one oat field. I was worried maybe that was getting tall enough to kind of lodge, but it looks fine. Some of this hay lodged a little, but it's cutting all right. So that's what we're doing today. We've got 2 days, today and tomorrow, that look like they're going to be beautiful. And then the next like 5 days looks like rain again. So try to get as much as I can. This is going to be wrapped, of course. So we're going to cut it today and bale and wrap it tomorrow. Might wrap it on Saturday. Just there's rain chance on Saturday, but I don't think it's till the afternoon, so try to get it done before then. But get what we can done. This field, this is the field that I was spreading, that we box spread the manure, the pen pack manure on, and then I drug it around with the drag to smooth out the clumps. So I set the Haybine, I dropped the shoes on it to cut high. My plan was to cut it a little high and then maybe rake it with the bar rake, just so I didn't pull in any of that manure. But I made 3 rounds so far, and I haven't even seen really any clumps. So I think with the rain and stuff we've had, I think it's actually broke down and growing in pretty good. So I think I might actually set the Haybine back down and cut it like I was before. Because when I got the Haybine all the way up like this with the shoes, it doesn't cut very clean. It cuts kind of shaggy and stuff. So I might put it back down where it was and just go for it. But anyway, we're gonna keep cutting around here and try to get this. I want to get this piece done. I think this is about 10 or 12 acres, and then there's another like a 5-acre piece that's connected to it. I think I might try to cut that too. That's about the same type of grass and stuff as this, so we'll see what we get done.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bales right there. It's quite the stack.
I called my dad today to see if he'd come and get the oats sprayed, because they are getting to the point now where if I don't get them sprayed in the next couple of days, probably not going to be able to. They are looking really nice though. They're looking beautiful. A lot of these are, oh, I would say they're well over a foot tall. Some of these lighter colored patches, more sandy knobs and stuff that are maybe a little bit shorter, but it's already a lot taller than it was last year when we harvested it, and it hasn't started making heads yet. But you can see there's a little bit of that, I don't know, we call it mustard, I guess. I don't know what it is, that yellow flowered stuff. There's some lamb's quarter out here. There's some, I don't know what it is. It's some kind of a little vine. We've had it out here for quite a few years now in the corn too, and it seems to kill, but it kind of makes a pain if it gets ahead of you. But I want to thank my dad for coming and doing this, because I'm not going to have time today to spray. And like I said, if we don't get these sprayed in the next couple days with all the rain coming, by the time that's over with, I won't be able to get back out here and get them sprayed. So it'll be nice to take care of these weeds. So
our brown Swiss Countess had her baby yesterday, and that was Jason's one that he was going to show this year, so he named her Judo. And pretty much as soon as she was born, Jason wanted to start working with her for the fair, so we thought we'd at least give her a day to stand up. What do you think, Jason? You like her? Yeah. Is she leading good? She's still got to learn how to use those legs. You got to show her how to walk.
You know how to walk?
hey everybody, welcome back. It's a couple days later. We got this all baled and wrapped. We got 67 bales total. So that was really nice to get, and I think this is going to be some pretty nice feed. The grasses, some of them were starting to head out, but I mean, we're early June yet, so it's definitely not old. There wasn't a lot of alfalfa in here. There was some, but none of that was bloomed out. That hay smelled really good, really nice sweet smell to it. So I think that's going to make some really nice feed. We've had some rain now since, which they were forecasting. They did open up a couple of days now this week. Today's Monday, so there's supposed to be rain on and off today, some storms possibly. Tomorrow again, some rain, and then Wednesday, Thursday, not necessarily sunny, but no rain. So I have one more field that we went and checked yesterday or day before. It's about 4 acres. It's not a big piece. I seeded it a couple years ago. It was a reclaim field. We did a video on a couple, probably three years back now. And I seeded that in, and last year it was pretty poor. I don't even know if I cut anything off of it last year. I might have flail chopped it, I don't remember. But there wasn't much there, so I wasn't really paying much attention to it. So we went down and checked it, and that's probably the nicest field I've got. It's like chest high, and alfalfa and trefoil and orchard grass, and yeah, it's really some beautiful stuff. So I want to try to get that. That's going to be wrapped because I'm not going to have enough time to get it dry for sure, because like I said, I got 2-day window, and that's not even really guaranteed there's going to be sun. So, but I want to try to get that off of there just because it's such nice hay, and it should, the ground, it's a low field down kind of river bottom, but it's still pretty sandy down there, so I don't think we'll have much trouble driving. But anyway, before we wrap up this video, I had some comments that I wanted to talk about or answer some questions that people had, whatever. On our last video of when we were wrapping the bales, I had some comments about the amount of wrap. Some people were just asking if we needed that much. Some people were like, you're using way too much wrap. One thing I can say for sure is I am not using too much wrap. If anything, I'm not putting enough on. I do typically 18 revolutions with that wrapper. That's pretty much what I've always done. Last year we did turn it up some. I think we were doing like 24 because the wrap some of the wrap I had gotten was, I don't know if it was a thinner wrap or whatever, but it wasn't covering as well. I wasn't happy with that, so we upped it. But this year everything has gotten 18 revolutions, other than a few bales. When I was going up the hill here, I wrapped them a little bit more. I think I did about 20 on them, just because they would roll a little bit more. So they had a little more time in case there was some stubble on the ground or something. So, and I think that comes out, I figured it out once, but I think that comes out to about 4 layers of wrap on a bale, which is, they recommend like 6 to 8 now. I think when I started wrapping, that's what they said was like 4, and that's kind of what I set out for. Now they're saying 6 to 8. I've had good luck with 4. If you go less than that, I have a feeling you're going to just have nothing but mold. You know, if you just went, so you just covered the bale with one, you know, say I did half as much, so say I did 9 revolutions on that wrapper, you'd have nothing but a bunch of mold when you went to feed this, because when you're got a high moisture hay or whatever, even like your silages and your bags or whatever, you don't want air. Air is your mortal enemy when it comes to this. You get air in there, you're going to have mold. That leads to all kinds of trouble. So that's what I put on. You know, that's as far as being too much wrap, I can guarantee you that's not the case. I wouldn't dare go any less than what I'm putting on now. So that was one. Another one I had was on our baler. Somebody had bought a baler just like that. They never had one before, so they weren't familiar with it at all, and they wanted me to do a little, just kind of walk around on it and talk about how everything works. So I told them I'd stick that in a video, so we'll run up and do that now. All right, so here's our baler. This is the 853 New Holland. I think this 853, I think they kind of changed these design on these a little bit from when this model came out to when it ended, because I've seen some of them that had a little different mechanism for like the overfill protection and stuff. But I'm going to go over what we've got here. So the question that they asked was something about the monitor, if it had a monitor or whatever. So this one is hydraulic tie, and the end gate's hydraulic, and the tie for the twine is hydraulic. Some of these came with net wrap, and some of them came with an electric tie, but this one's hydraulic tie. So you have 2 hydraulic lines for the end gate and 2 hydraulic lines for your tying. So basically for a monitor, that's all right here on the front of the baler. So this does your bale size. This will gradually go up as the bale fills. And this one was set up so that the angle of this and the angle of the bottom of this arrow were lined up. That was when you were full. If you have a manual for it, you can adjust that, because I actually did have to adjust this one once. As stuff stretches, it can get out of line. I'll show you in a minute, but what this also does is with this cable, as it goes up, if you get over where the full limit is, it trips a lever on the other side, and it shears the pin that drives the pickup. So, and I've sheared that many times, because if you're in heavy hay or something and you're getting close to full and it pulls in a big windrow, it'll shear the pin. So they are a 5/16 by 1.5" grade 5 bolt. That's what it is. I've replaced hundreds of them. This is for your end gate. So when you open your end gate, this will go up. And when you put your lever down, you want to make sure this goes all the way back down, because that means it's latched. It's not only closed, but it's latched. If it's not latched, you get about a half a bale or so in there. All of a sudden, it'll push the back door open. Then you have to dump the bale out untied. As far as the tying, once your bale's full, you throw your other hydraulic lever. This will go down, and you can see the twine will start wrapping on each end of the bale, the outside ends. As you pull the lever back, this will go up. You'll see the twine start to work its way across. Of course, the lighter you pull the lever, the slower this goes, the more twine you'll put on. And then usually I get it right up to about this top line here. I leave it sit a little bit, wrap about 3 times in the middle, then you pull it the rest of the way. It goes up to cut. It cuts the twine. Then you can dump the bale out, and this will reset. Now this baler, this has airbag tension. I talked about this before. So it has the gauge here. This is the chuck where you fill it. I would recommend, if you've never run this baler, I've put a set of airbags in this baler. The original ones, over time, they started leaking. I suppose they got little cracks. It got to the point where they were leaking so bad, you'd bale about 20 bales, and you'd be out of air. You'd have to go back and re-air it. 30 to 50 PSI is where you want to run your pressure. It should have a sticker. This one has a sticker here that says that. Don't run it over. Don't run it under. I typically always run it at 50. Your airbags, there's one on each side. They're right up here. Like I said, we have replaced these. I don't think you can get them from New Holland anymore. The dealer that I was dealing with had a small equipment lot up here. He had some kind of a truck suspension place that he was able to get them from. They were exact replacement for this. And I think when we pulled these off, I think they were made by Goodyear. So I think if I remember right, they had the exact same sticker with the part number and everything on them that the replacement ones that we got had. So if you need that number, it's kind of a little bit of a job, but you should be able to pull out the old airbag and it would have that sticker on there, because I'm pretty sure you can't get them anymore from New Holland. But so that's that. There's one of those on each side. They both fill out of this one tap. Another thing is your chain tension. As the baler gets used, the chain obviously stretches. So your chain tension is adjusted here. Clean this out a little bit. So this bolt here, there's one of these on each side. There's one here and there's one over there. So what you do, you raise the rear end gate when the baler's empty. You raise it all the way up, lock it open. So there's a jam nut here. You loosen that, run that all the way down. Then you turn this bolt all the way up into the frame until the jam nut, you know, is all the way back up. So you have a gap between the bolt head and the frame. With that up on both sides, then you shut the rear gate so it's all the way closed. Then you run this bolt back out so the head of the bolt just touches the frame. You don't want to crank it so you're moving anything. And then lock your jam nut back up with this touching the frame, and you got it reset. I hope that wasn't too confusing, but it does. If you have the manual, it does explain all that in there. If you get to the point where this bolt is all the way in and there's no more adjustment, then you either have to replace the entire chain, not the bars. You can reuse the bars, but replace the chain. I would also recommend, if you do that, get new bolts and new nuts. In the book, I found in the fine print that it said, do not reuse these bolts more than twice. They're not lying. This is, I think, the third chain that we've put in here, and the original bolts had been used all the time. So it got to the point where the bolts would finally just break while you were baling, and then you'd bend bars. So I went and bought all new bolts and put all new bolts in. I haven't had that trouble since. So if you are going to go through and put a new chain in, I would put the new bolts in also, so you kind of know where you're at there. You can take links out. Now this particular baler, these bars, these tubes, they run in time. There's these wheels here, and I think there's some on the back gate that have grooves in them. So these have to be evenly spaced. So you can't take out just one link. You have to take out 3 links. So what you would take out, there's a master link. So you find that. So you'd be basically taking out this link here and here. So you have the same, keep your spacing the same. I think it also talks about that in the book. But yeah, so you can do that. Take out a link, and then that'll reset your tension back to where it should be again. And we have done that before. I'll also mention a little bit on this trip I was talking about for the overfill protection. So here, this is the drive for your pickup. So this lever here is what will trip. There's a little latch here. When it overfills, this cable will pull this latch, let this go, it locks in on here, and it will shear this pin. So then you've got to, if you've got a bale in there, you can still tie the bale, kick it out. That's easier, because then you can turn this by hand to line up the holes. If you have a bale inside that you don't, it's too small or whatever, then you got to try to run the PTO and bump it along. Put the pin in, and when you put a new pin in, make sure you reset this. You just pull it back and then go again. I have been going to try to find reverse thread or left-handed thread bolts for this. I've got it double nutted, or if you can find a good lock nut. This will work the nut off of there. I have had that happen a fair bit too, or maybe some Loctite or something like that. But that's kind of the main issue that you have there. If you want to run it just a little bit undersize, then you wouldn't have to worry about it. When I do the baleage, some of the last baleage we did, the last probably 20 bales, I actually made full size because it was getting a little drier. But if I've got wetter hay, I typically only go up to this last line. That's, I think, about a 4-foot bale, 4 foot high. But yeah, there's another pin. This is your main shear pin in here. Slides down through this. There's a tail of a broken one sticking out here. There's only one pin in here. There's 2 places you can put it in. If you shear this pin, you probably have something majorly wrong. Not necessarily majorly wrong, but these tubes in this baler, where they're kind of timed. If one of those tubes gets a little bit of a bend in it, say there's a big stick in the windrow, you pick it up and it bends a tube, it will shear that pin. So, and that's typically what happens. Or, I mean, it can be a lot of different things, but usually if I'm shearing that pin, I have a bent bar somewhere. So you open the back tailgate, run it around, check them all, and it doesn't take much of a curve or a bend in there, but just keep that in mind. If you shear that pin, you probably, and it's not a big deal. I usually try to keep 2 or 3 bars on hand, just in the shed. If they're not bent too bad, you can straighten them. If you have a tube come loose, they're usually bent too bad where you can't straighten them. But so that's kind of a quick run around. There's twine boxes on each side. That's all pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, we've had this baler since new, so I think I've pretty much gone through all the issues that we've had with it. We've gone through and replaced all the bearings in these idlers, I think a couple times. That's kind of, if you're going to go through and put a new chain in, I would probably also recommend doing that. Putting new bearings in here. The last chain we did, we put 2 new drive sprockets on because they hadn't been done, and we also did the bearings on that main line. There's 2 more sets of sprockets in the back door that should probably get changed. They're getting pretty worn. They don't drive, but it gets a little rattly, so they'll probably be the next next thing to get changed. But I have to say, it's a good baler. It'll take a really big windrow with no problem as long as you have the bale started turning. That is one thing. When you're going, you'll see the bale start forming in here. You want to make sure that bale starts turning before you just go. Because if that bale's just sitting there and the chain's going over it, you'll shear the main pin because it'll get hay up on the wrong side of the roller in there, the rubber roller, and it'll jam it up. So that's one thing you want to make sure that's going. The only thing I've ever had issue with this thing baling is like really dry straw, or maybe really, really short hay, like a third crop or something that's really short, really fine. It doesn't like to bale that stuff. It kind of grinds, like the straw, it would kind of grind it up, and I had a heck of a time getting a bale to start, but most hay it bales just fine. So anyway, I hope that answered your questions on that. If you have any other questions, just leave a comment. I'll try to answer them. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I want to thank everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.